Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're stepping into the role of strategic advisors for those of you out there who feel completely trapped by your own sales process. We're going to dismantle the exhausting, high-stakes sales model that is holding so many talented founders back, and we're going to completely replace it with a high-trust pipeline architecture. If you've been burning through leads and literally dreading opening your own calendar, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's dive in. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the transaction tax trap, the 60-minute war, relationship architecture, demonstrated value protocol, the high certainty brand, and wrap up with mastery of the long game. All right, section 1, the transaction tax trap. You know that deep, almost soul-crushing exhaustion you might be feeling after a long day of calls? We call that the transaction tax. See, most sales training out there focuses heavily on the close. They hand you scripts, rebuttals, and all these psychological triggers designed to basically force an immediate yes right there in the moment. But while those tactics might grab you a quick buck and show a short-term gain, you really have to consider the immense tax it imposes on you and the long-term relationship. It's exhausting, it leaves the buyer feeling totally manipulated, and ultimately, you burn through leads while leaving literally thousands of dollars on the table. Moving right along to section 2, the 60-minute war. Treating sales like a 60-minute war, believing you absolutely have to win a prospect over in just 1 hour or you've completely failed, is just a recipe for burnout. But here's the thing. Losing that war isn't actually a failure of your sales skills. Actually, scratch that. It's a technical failure in your relationship architecture. The real pivot happens when you stop trying to close a transaction in an hour and start focusing on opening a relationship. When you share value and actually help people long before you ever ask for a check, well, the sale just becomes the natural, frictionless next step in an ongoing conversation. Which brings us to section 3, relationship architecture. This is a profound structural truth you need to internalize. Sales isn't some clever trick of the tongue. It's a transfer of certainty. You're trying to build this incredibly valuable asset called buyer certainty. But the harsh reality is there's no way to transfer certainty if you only ever show up when you need a check. You've got to build your reputation on the days when there's absolutely no money on the line. So what does this actually look like? Well, the absolute best salespeople don't really sell. They facilitate a decision the prospect has already made. If you act as a solicitor, just rushing the buyer's journey and popping up only to ask for money, you're going to break their trust. But if you act as a partner, honoring the process and showing up every single week with a real solution, you create a customer for life. It's all about perfecting your consistent presence, not rushing the close. Let's move to section 4, demonstrated value protocol. I want you to anchor yourself to this quote because it is the primary architectural brick of everything we're building today. The sale doesn't actually happen on a Zoom call. No way. The most powerful sales close happens months before a credit card is ever swiped. It happens in the helpful emails they read, the videos they watch, and the consistent, visible impact you inject into their ecosystem day after day. Let's look at how this plays out over time. When someone says no to you in month 1, it's usually not about your price, and it's definitely not your offer. You just haven't been in their world long enough for them to trust your solution. But look at this progression. By providing helpful emails in month 1, weekly videos by month 3, and doing a simple check-in with genuine care by month 6, you become the obvious choice. By month 8, boom, you have a zero resistance sale. You literally just have to stay in the game longer and be more helpful than your competition. This perfectly sets up section 5, the high certainty brand. Making a few specific pivots, like treating every single no as a not yet and consistently sending helpful resources, can completely transform your business. Seriously, 6 months down the line, those initial no's turn into the easiest sales of your life. And why is that? Because scale happens when your reputation begins to do the heavy lifting for you. You don't have to push or be aggressive because your history of value precedes you into every single room you walk into. 0. That is the exact amount of resistance you face when your scalable brand has proven its value over time. When you commit to playing the long game, the money is always there when you need it, simply because the trust has already been banked. Finally, section 6, mastery of the long game. Okay, if you're ready to stop leaving money on the table and master this relational architecture, here are your steps. Step 1, stop chasing the quick buck. Step 2, start building a long-term bond based on rock-solid trust. And step 3, exploring the resources at 365 Freedom is your logical evolution to truly mastering conversion through genuine connection. So, I'll leave you with this. As you look at your calendar this week, ask yourself, are you suiting up for another exhausting 60-minute war, or are you ready to finally build a high-certainty brand? Remember, in the long game, trust is the only asset that makes selling feel effortless. Start laying down those bricks of demonstrated value today. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.